Hey, I'm here celebrating the National Day of the UAE at the impressive Mandarin Oriental Emirates Palace. It really is. I mean, I won't really show you much. You can go online and take a look. It's an impressive property. But I'm here to talk about dual citizenships and multiple passports, the idea of digital nomads and nomad capitalists and so on. I think it's interesting being in a place like this. You probably realize, well, people don't really come to the UAE to attain their citizenship, their passport. That really is not the reason they're here. People are here and people stay because it provides opportunity. Provides a place that gives you access to international markets, tax-free pay. Obviously, a number of benefits there on the with a tax scheme that won't tax you on your overall income, your global income, much like universal incomes, much like the U.S. does, and I believe Eritrea is the other country that does that. So why do people come here? Well, like I said, it's tax-free income that allows you to invest and have access to global markets, including the country, the market you come from. If you come from the West, it pretty much gives you access to invest in the stock exchange anywhere through a number of service providers. It's a very robust financial system, financial sector. And so that's fantastic. That allows people to come here and realize they can earn maybe the same income, but without taxes, oftentimes more than what they earn back home. And then it just gives them access to the markets back home and other markets as well. That's what keeps people here, not necessarily the dream of attaining a passport here. But people who are here do leverage the idea of and the option of obtaining a passport overseas. So whether that is a passport in Europe, somewhere in the Caribbean, the U.S., Canada, and so on. And I think that's it's a mistake. I think it's something that we're leveraging, that we allow people to leverage, and we leverage as well for to attract foreign direct investment. And it's something that people take advantage of. And I don't think that's really what we should be about. I think there are better ways to attract talent. I think there are better ways to retain talent. And if the goal of a citizenship is to prove the ultimate commitment to a land, then it also should come with the ultimate rewards. And there's no reward system really in today in most economies. When you obtain a second passport or a third passport, if the country allows it, not every country in the West also allows dual citizenship, but when it does, it comes with the right to vote. And that is very important to a lot of people who want to live in a democracy. So that's important to them. Definitely not the case in places like here. You don't vote here. If you were to obtain UAE citizenship, there are certain paths to obtaining that citizenship, but it doesn't come with the right to vote, obviously. But I think that what we should, though, aspire to is a situation where you obtain a citizenship. You have to surrender your citizenship, and with that you obtain certain benefits, and that makes it an option worth considering. So, as an example, there is Singapore. It's a country that will demand that you surrender your citizenship. If you obtain Singaporean citizenship, you will have to, if you're male, you will have to do the mandatory service, military service, and also, it will give you in return lots of access. For instance, access to preferential housing, preferential loan, student loans, also jobs that are only available to citizens, and obviously a strong passport that gives you visa access to lots of different countries around the world. I think that's the way to go for us. I think in a world where we see a lot of migration, I come across, a lot of illegal migration too. People who want to stay in countries where they call it economic migrants. Fine, they call it. Essentially, you have a lot of economic migrants here too. People call them expats. But in our case, and in the case of the West, primarily where you've seen a lot of illegal immigration, primarily illegal immigration, because even though, I know that everyone wants to talk about the good immigration, the immigration that comes with skills, but the truth is the majority of the immigration is illegal immigration of low skill immigrants who don't necessarily come pre-vetted, which is the biggest problem, really, where you don't know who's coming, as far as doing background checks and ensuring that those who are coming are a good fit for the country, but also don't come with a baggage of having committed crimes and so on. And well, so meaning that the people that come, you don't know in what numbers they come, you don't know when they come, you don't know, where are you supposed to send them so they can get settled, so they can get the skills, or they can get re-skilled, or they can adapt to the culture locally. Europe is a continent. Sure, there's a European Union. A lot of Europeans, you'll still know, they don't really know what it means to them, really. Everyone, is quite a complex system to understand of governance. And so, an Italian in Denmark is an immigrant. German in Portugal is an immigrant. And so that's something that a lot of people who are very foreign to the concept of the European Union don't really understand. Even ourselves as Europeans within the European Union, we are immigrants. We're considered immigrants, much like everybody else. And so what I would like to advocate for is the idea of, having a strong discussion around dual citizenship and what the value of that is, and as a means of attracting top talent and retaining top talent for the right reasons. And I'll give you one example. This isn't something new. I mean, you can go online and possibly find tons of different examples of this, but there are a lot of people who come to the West from the Middle East, say, some Asian country, as an example, or African country, or other countries, with a passport that grants them less access, and where if they were to get a job here, for instance, in the UAE or in Qatar, or they will command a lower wage because it's pegged to their passport of nationality, and they will come to, say, Canada or the US or Europe, and then they will get a passport from the West, and they will come back to the Middle East, where essentially they want to live at the end of the day, but then they will get paid a higher wage because now they are a citizen of a Western country. I mean, is that the type of immigration that we want? Is that is essentially what we're exposed to? And I think that's what I'm debating is, I think the value proposition of a citizenship should be very strong, very clear and very strong, and so compelling that it would attract the right people. And if giving up your citizenship, surrendering your existing citizenship to take on a new citizenship is a compelling enough of a proposition, then you will go ahead and do it. And if not, you will remain, say, a permanent resident. And so there will be different tiers. These are different tiers, and there are different benefits, different obligations, and different benefits that come with this tier status. I think that's a much better system, something they do in Singapore, something that I think it's just common sense, makes a lot of sense if you look at, if you thought of a business and a structure in the business into different tiers. That's how you don't want to allow people to work with you and then have your product integrate with another product, with essentially your competitor's product, and all of your competitor's product. Because that wouldn't make any sense. You want to retain customers. You want people to work with you, and if anything, you want to cross-sell them. You want to upsell them. You don't want them to easily be able to migrate from your product to the competition. And the same way you wouldn't want to do that, I don't think you would want to do that if you make obtaining other citizenships or obtaining your citizenship something that is something that's easy to do, and something that comes with all the benefits and very little downside. So that's kind of what I like to share with you today, because I find that You know, this place is beautiful. I mean, for privacy reasons, I'm trying not to share too much, but essentially, very few people here. People are probably home, ready to celebrate. There'll be fireworks here today. It'll be beautiful. And you see these places, they're opulent, they're beautiful. And we had lots of these places in Europe and other parts of the world. Unfortunately, we're no longer taking care of them as much as we should because we don't have the money to do that, because the immigration system is broken in most of the Western world. And so we need to rethink about this. We need to rethink about immigration and talent attraction and retention the way a business would. Because at the end of the day, immigrants are not the problem. The problem is the system, the government who doesn't have a solid system in place that is ready to be competitive enough and to compete with places like this. And so this is, you know, I've been a little controversial, but I thought, you know, sharing it, you know, with this backdrop, I think it would, you know, it helps understand these economies are doing really well, where else are definitely struggling. A lot of money came to these countries during COVID. A lot of money has been, you know, flowing into these countries, staying here, being reinvested, and these countries having the access back to our markets, direct access to our markets. And so that puts us in a situation where we are suffering. And if we don't figure that out, I think the suffering will continue. The brain drain, the talent drain will continue, and because our value proposition is not strong enough. So we'd love to engage in a conversation. If you have any thoughts, any questions, yeah, please let me know, and I'll try to find a way to ensure that the video ends up with the highest quality possible, and the audio as well. I know it's a little loud. So that's all I've got. All right, talk soon. Bye-bye.